So I need to replace 4 tiles in the shower, as I had to remove the old shower joint because the thermostatic valve decided to die on me after a year and a half. So normally when you remove a few tiles, they will never be perfect going back in. All you can do is the best that you can do. So the new tiles going in, if you scrape right to the edge, going all the way around, I've got small hands and I found that using the scrapers and the tools that you get from DIY stores were quite stiff and hurt my hands. So I've used cakes decorating spatulas because they're a lot flexible and they're easy to use for me, and to be honest, they're a fraction of what you would pay for proper grouting tools. So once you've coated the back with your adhesive, put some crosses on it both ways because it needs that to adhere to the wall properly. If you don't and just leave it smooth, you'll find that eventually it'll fall off or it won't adhere properly. So only do a thin layer and then place it on the wall. If you look then down from the top of it, you'll see if it's gone in too much or if it's sticking out too much. Either add more adhesive or remove it depending on the situation that you're in. I've also found with these, as you put the first tile in, don't worry about the positioning because you need to get the other tile in and then put your spacers in to then align them where you want the gaps for your grout. You will find when you put these in that they will never be exactly the same space as when the original job was done. Don't worry, once you've filled the grout in, nobody is going to notice if there is a joint 1 mil or 2 mil out different to another one. People's eyes just fill in the gaps. So again, once you get the second tile, cross that over the back as well and then put that in position. Again, I found the cardboard on the tile boxes is a grey spacer. So as you can see, the gaps on there do not match. So what I'll do is I'll put spacers where I can, and then I will use folded up card from the tile box to then go into the spaces for the other parts. And just do this with both the tiles and adjust them, because obviously the adhesive on the back is quite loose. You can shift this around as long as you want. You've got about half an hour before they start sticking properly, and it's never going to take you that long. So once you start and get them in position, then just put the pieces of card from the tile box into position just to hold them in place. Again, cut off small bits, fold it in half, and then push that, the back of that, into the gap that you need it to fill. And it needs to be tight, because if it's not, the paper will just fall out, and so will the spacers. So again, with the top 2 tiles exactly the same as what you did to the bottom. Make sure the adhesive goes to all the edges, cross the back, and then put it in position, and then do it with the last tile. I'm afraid this has taken so long because I've done it in real time, because I think you need to go through the steps to understand. You don't rush at these things, just take your time. It will take longer if you've never tiled before or it's the first time you're trying. So just take your time and do it at your own pace, and just, it doesn't matter if it takes you 10 minutes to put some adhesive on the back of the tile or half an hour. As long as it hasn't dried out, just take your time and just play with it. So again, crossed at the back, put it in position, and then you need to get down with eye level to the tiles so you can see where the gap positioning needs to be for your grout. Don't do this above it because the positioning will be all wrong. You need to kneel down and get on the same level as those tiles. And then again, just adjust them with spacers and cardboard from the tile from the box, and just keep moving it around until you're happy with the positioning of those tiles. Once they're in place, again, I leave them for 24 hours to dry out completely, and then you can grout the gaps. but there I just couldn't get the positioning right. So what I've done is taken the spacers out, moved it over slightly, and then I'm going to use either spacers or cardboard to adjust the size of each side, because there wasn't enough room to get the 3mm spacers that I had for the original job. And again, the card would just fit into any space. Make sure it's pushed in tight, or it would just fall out as soon as you walk away from it. And you need that space so that while the tile's drying, it adheres to that position. And once you're happy with how it is and you fiddled around with them, I find they do tend to move off the wall. So once you've got all your tiles in position, then push the tiles flat back onto the wall to make sure they're not sticking out. I've had it where I haven't, and then when they've dried, they've been at an angle, so you then have to put more grout, and eventually, because it's in a shower, the water will wash it down, because it has to be so specific in a shower. It's not so bad if you're doing a kitchen or a wall in the bathroom that hasn't got water on it, but when it's the shower, you really have to make sure that's a flush wall. So push those in as tight as you can to make sure they're flush on that wall.